Que ora. If you guys have your Bibles with you, you can turn to Ephesians chapter 6. So as I always remind everybody in the church, I usually send out the lesson via email to the members of the church. So it's a little bit easier to follow along, as well as it gives you kind of ammunition to go back and double check what you believe in the scriptures and build your own conviction on God's word. And so today we are now finalizing our series in the book of Ephesians. So we're coming now to a close in Ephesians chapter 6. And I want to start off by asking you one question this morning.
What is it?
Are you a strong believer?
Yes.
When we ask that question, we first have to ask ourselves, well, what does a strong believer look like, right? What makes somebody to be qualified as a strong believer? Well, we know it's not simply just believing in the name of Christ and God. Why? Because then demons, they would be qualified to be strong believers. You know, it says here in James 2:19 that, even the demons believe in God's name and they actually tremble. Well, it's not simply going to church meetings or those that are religious and just kind of show up to a church meeting. They would be considered strong as well. Where we know that's not true. Matthew 7:21 through 23 talks about, hey, just because you're calling me Lord doesn't mean you're doing my will. See, throughout the book of Ephesians, Paul has always been talking about the power of God. He's always been referencing it in one way or another. And what I really love here in Ephesians chapter 1, 18 through 21 is one of my favorite things that he says about the power of God right here. He says, I pray that the eyes of your hearts may be enlightened in order that you may know the hope in which he called you, the riches of his glorious inheritance in his holy people, and his incomparable great power for us who believes. That power is the same as the mighty strength he exerted when he raised Christ from the dead and seated him at the right hand of the heavenly realms, far above all rule and authority, power and dominion, every name that is invoked, not only in the present age, but also in the one to come. We read this, and I don't know about you, but for me, I look at Paul's going in on this right now. He's really giving his whole heart and showing us what the great power of God looks like. That he was saying, this isn't like anything else, guys. The power of God is untouchable. It's nothing that your self-confidence can muster up. It's nothing that a weapon could force. It's nothing like anything else that we've ever seen. That is the power of God. And I think of him just like almost just like going at it, like just giving a poem. It's kind of like when you're talking about like somebody you love, right? You just write them a good poem. And I'm like, and I wrote this a little bit for my wife. It's like, like your girl loses your focus. My girl catches me in the moment. Your girl wish you were golden. My girl makes me feel chosen. Your girl complains through her teeth. My girl reminds me to breathe. Your girl won't hand you the keys. My girl trusts me with ease. Your girl lives on her knees. My girl was born to lead. See, and after you hear something, you're like, dang, who's his girl? Just remember, at least, it's my girl. Right? It's my wife. And this is kind of what he's putting out here. Is like, this is the power of God. This is God's power. But he ends it off as saying, but it's yours as well. He has this something so amazing. And he says, guess what? This is for all who believe. He reminds us that this is our power. That God has given it to us and now it is yours. But the main thing we have to ask ourselves, okay, we have this uncontrollable, this huge power, but are you strong? The excuse cannot be no more that I don't have the resources. No, you have the resources for those who believe. Are you strong? He ends it off, actually, by the end of this, we're going to kind of start at the end of the chapter. But it says here in Ephesians 6, 19 through 20, I pray also for me, that whatever I speak, words may be given to me that I will fearlessly make known the mysteries of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I may declare it fearlessly, as I should. When you start to stand like this in your faith, that is when you are strong. I love what he says at the end, right there at the end of verse 20. As I should. There is a saying that has such responsibility and conviction in it. right? Not as I was commanded or as I was asked or, as what's required of me, as I should. I expect this from myself. Right? This is just something that he's taking full responsibility of. I don't know if you're a little bit like me whenever we're watching professional sports and the person out there misses a shot that nowhere in heaven could I ever make that shot. Whether I was like Mike, I had flubber, angels in the outfield, regardless of what was going on in my life, I ain't ever going to make that shot. But if you're like me, I still sit on my couch eating popcorn. Man, why did he miss it? Right? I complain a little bit still, like what's going on with this guy? In one way or another, we actually kind of have the right to complain. A little bit. Why? Because I'm not getting paid millions of dollars to make that shot. That person is. So when Danny Green misses that shot, we'll leave him out of it. But I love him anyways. But when someone misses that shot or misses something, we have a little bit of a right to complain. And he's almost putting this on our hearts. Hey, we've been given the riches of God's grace. We've been given his incomparable power. You have not been given all these things to be weak. You don't have the right to be weak. You are paid to make your shots. You are paid to be strong. You are paid to actually have the power of God. And he puts this on our hearts that I should do this as I should fearlessly. See, that's what it means to be strong in the Lord. And this is for everyone. This isn't for those who just approach the pulpit or lead some type of little connect group or anything else in your life. This is for every single person under God's name. Yeah. That we are out there to proclaim his name fearlessly. Fearlessly. See, whenever we take stands like this, it's usually because you really believe in it. That's what makes you a strong believer. Yeah. If you're taking a stand in something in your life, that means you truly believe in it in your heart. If you're not making that stand, what does it simply mean? It means you're weak. And weak is just one of those words you never want to be described as, right? It just always just twists your heart a little bit. But being strong is one of the most popular masks that our society likes to wear. Wow. It's the most popular thing that people like to put on. I don't know if you're like that, where you go to the gym and you see people trying to lift weight that they shouldn't even be shaking a stick at, you know what I mean? But they put all the pounds on and everything, and you could just look at them like, nah, homie ain't gonna lift that. But why? Because they're putting on the mask of, I want to be strong, right? And it's the same thing. People do that all the time spiritually as well. They want to pretend like they're strong. It amazes, I guess it doesn't amaze me or surprise me, but it helps me at least realize the human nature. Whenever I go share my faith out on the street, you can meet so many different types of people, but a lot of times I'll meet people who are religious or believe, and I'll ask them, hey, let's do a Bible study. Let's go and get into it. And usually they'll put up a few defenses. They'll say, oh, I already go to church. Oh, I already have a Friday night Bible discussion group. And usually out of some convincing, I'm like, let's just do it together one time. Usually even after saying all those things, that they go to church, they have a connect group, they do all these things, when I get in front of them, like, hey, are you seeking God with all your heart? They're like, I'm like a 3 out of a 10. Then why are you putting up this face that you go to church? That's not doing anything for you. Why are you pretending that you're strong when you're weak? And guess what? It's not something to be shameful of. It's that we all need help. And so we can always do that, is try and pretend that we're strong when we are really weak. See, within these last words written to the saints in Ephesus, this letter here, that's what we're reading, Paul is writing a letter to the church in Ephesus. Paul is going to conclude with a warning of war, but also instructions in how to win. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, is how do we actually be strong in the Lord? So my title this morning for you is simply that, Strong in the Lord. And so I do have 4 points for you, but each of them are quite little, so don't get to point 4 like, oh dang. All right, so we'll get through it and learn how to be strong in the Lord this morning. Point number 1, being strong is being in the right battle. Come on, Sean. Being strong is being in the right battle. So we're in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 through 12 right now. It says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you may take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. We start off here talking about being strong. See, the call to be strong throughout God's holy words was actually mostly said to or addressed to his warriors. So if you look throughout the Bible, even specifically in the Old Testament, many of the prophets were actually not really called to be strong. They were more called to obedience, called to righteousness, called to holiness. But every single time you look up the word strong, it's usually out for a warrior. So we're definitely always remember the continual calling of Joseph by God and his men to be strong and courageous. We know about Haggai and Zechariah calling the Israelites to be strong in the rebuilding of the temple. And so sometimes we hear the word be strong, and we can kind of compare and contrast our situation to these guys who are actually going out and fighting wars and everything. And we can look at that of like, they had a reason to be strong. I just got to kind of get by. They had so much more at risk. They needed to be strong in their battles. Not so much for me. Yes, their lives may have been at stake, but we wager the souls in our spiritual warfare. Our souls are at war. Yeah. So actually, we have far more at risk. We need to be strong as well. But the only way that we're going to have a chance of victory is that if we're being strong in the Lord. And so it says here later on, it says, our struggle. Well, what does the word really struggle means? It means our wrestle, which is kind of a term that means like hand-to-hand combat. Our wrestle, our struggle, our fight, our hand-to-hand combat needs to be against Satan and his schemes. And he goes on talking about we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but we're fighting against the dark enemy that is Satan. And it puts on our heart that no one in the human race is your enemy. Wow. There ain't a single person on this earth that is your enemy. If you find yourself fighting against another person or complaining about another person, you're fighting the wrong battle. You're fighting potentially just a puppet of Satan, but you're not actually getting and fighting the war that God wants us to fight. See, you will never win the battle as long as you fight the wrong enemy. And it puts on our heart, how do we respond to life's challenges or hurts? Do we call people or blame people? Do we get angry and insecure? Do we start looking at others or why we're feeling a certain way? Or do we actually fight Satan and what he's doing in our lives? See, when a relationship hurts you, do you blame the person? Or do you get with the person and say, hey, Satan's got between us a little bit. We need to get him out of the room. As long as you're fighting the wrong person, you're always going to lose your battles. See, if we still hold grudges, are we still blaming others for our pain? Or for one reason or another why it's not working out? You're a casualty waiting to happen. That's all you are in the spiritual war. You're a casualty waiting to happen because you're fighting the wrong war. Or maybe you're going to be the one that causes the next casualty by blaming others. See, how strong you are is shown by who you choose to fight. See, if I came up here and I said, hey guys, I'm an undefeated boxer. You guys are like, undefeated? Man, that sounds good. But then you later on looked into my life and I keep fighting 12-year-olds. You'd be like, okay, he's probably not that strong, right? Come here, little Billy. Like that, it's not. You wouldn't look at me as undefeated. Doesn't mean as much anymore, right? But if I said, hey, I've only had one victory, and I beat Mike Tyson, you'd be like, okay, that's a different type of strength. See, when you're fighting other people, guess what? I'm a weak opponent for you. The church, or blaming religion, or somebody else in the congregation, or your family member, or your mom or dad, those are weak opponents. Your win means little to nothing. Because I don't stand between you and heaven. That's not who I am, or that's not anybody on it. No one is your enemy. You're fighting the wrong battle. Even if you win the argument, if you win this, you're not winning much. Right. If I continue to beat up 12-year-olds, I'm never going to get the crown. Right? I'm never going to get the belt. You win that right battle, though, that's when you get the belt. And so we have to look at ourselves. Are we fighting the right opponent. So you can continue to fight weak opponents, but it may make you feel better, but you'll never win the crown. See, who do you keep fighting with? Whether that's out loud or in your heart or in your heart. Or in your head. You know, we have to point the sword towards the devil, not towards each other. And are you at this point where you're tired yet? Are you tired yet of being really just living out Galatians 5:19 through 21 when you should be enjoying Galatians 5:22 through 24? What I mean by that here, it says Galatians 5:19 all the way to 23, we can read it. The acts of the flesh are obvious. Sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. But it says the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. See, the first describes a sinful, unloving life and heart. And the latter describes what God really desires. See, I hope we are now starting to get tired of being deceived by Satan to get mad at each other. Instead of just talking about things, we need to learn how to strategize with each other.
Come on, Sean.
Get together and proclaim that we are now pointing the barrel and the sword at the right enemy. If someone hurts you, you got to let them know, hey, Satan is trying to get between us. Satan has allowed you to hurt me, but I'm not blaming you, but we got to get Satan out of our lives. If you hurt them, you got to admit, yeah, Satan bested me, but I need your help. He deceived me a little bit to get in between us again. You know, and if there's just a general issue, we got to get the relationship right. Get Satan out of the room. That's something that's always a good thing to pray before you're talking to somebody. Is that we just simply need to get Satan out of the room. My issue is not with you. It's not with me. It's not with... Satan is trying to fight and get in between us. My first challenge is learn how to fight the right enemy. Yeah. If you want to win your battles, fight the right enemy. Point number 2, being strong is standing your guard. Ephesians 6:13. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, when it comes, not if it comes, you may be able to stand your guard, and after you have done everything, to stand. See, once you draw those battle lines, it's like, hey, I'm not against you. I'm drawing my battle lines with God. But now you got to stand your guard. Now you actually got to hold position of where you just drew that line. See, sometimes we get up and we say, man, hey, this is the day I'm going to change. Now, I'm going to seek God with all of my heart. I'm going after it. I'm going to change my life. This is the land where now God is conquering and I have the power of God. And then we wake up the next morning and check where you are. You're not at your post. You're not where you're supposed to be. You just conquer that land for God and you're not there. You know, have you ever watched the movies where the guy's trying to sneak in? They're always trying to wait until they change their post, right? You know, that's when they sneak in. And that's when Satan's trying to get us. It's when we're not manning our post. And it says here, you know, you do whatever it takes to keep that line. Why? Because once there's a little bit of crack in the wall, that's when the enemy starts barreling through. And that's what we have to understand is when we start to feel overwhelmed, well, that's what's happening in our lives. Let's say me, Chris, whatever, Tyrone, Pascal, that we wanted to break through this wall over here. You know, we each get like a shovel, some spoons, I don't know, whatever it takes. And our main goal is to get on the other side of the wall. The first person who really breaks through, that's where we're going. If Chris is the first one to break through over here, I'm not going to continue drilling over here. I'm going to go with him. You know, and that's what Satan does and his demons. They look at, okay, here, the crack, and bam, there's a little crack. There's a crack in the family. All the demons start coming that way. You know, they're not still focusing on your university. They're not focusing on over here. Why? Because there's a crack in the wall. And that's what it means that you're feeling overwhelmed, is there's a crack in your armor. There's a crack in your wall. There's a bit of a weakness right there. And they're going to start charging in because there's no point of hitting the other parts in our lives. See, when we start to feel that, that means the enemy has found our weakness. And it talks about here standing our guard. See, it says here, a little bit later we'll talk about what exactly the armor of God is. But the main thing here, it says to put it on. Put it on. And it doesn't say put it on every morning or when you wake up. It means put it on, never take it off.
Yeah.
That's just it. You put it on and keep it on.
Yeah.
Never to take it off. See, we have problems in our lives, or cracks start to happen in our lives. Why? Because we get home, we start to take off the armor. You have problems at your job and being spiritual is because that's outside of church. Oh, I can take off my spiritual armor again. We have problems when we start to take things off. You take off your armor when you start to meet that special someone in your life. Like maybe I can just be a little bit more vulnerable in my life. No, you got to keep the armor of God on.
Yeah.
See, I know that, I don't know if you're ever up on University of Auckland, but if you're ever there, usually in the daytime, sometimes periodically there would be this random guy and a couple of different people who walk around like literally with just like a plate of armor. They have like these chains armor and everything, and they kind of like, I don't know, mimic. They have like play swords and they do all that and everything. But these guys are walking down the street like it's a normal Tuesday. They're walking around. You know, people are staring at them and like, what the heck, where is he going and everything. But they don't mind at all. See, sometimes we take off our spiritual armor because we care about what other people think too much. I don't want to be known as the Bible guy. I don't want to be known as a person who's always just talking about Jesus. See, if that guy can walk around literally with the full armor, you can walk around with your spiritual armor.
Come on, Jack.
We got to be willing to put up with these things. And that's really what I want to lift up, Sione and Raph. You know, these guys are great examples of, they live in dorms, and I have a feeling they are like the Bible guys. You know, people know about, they are the Bible guys. You know, whenever I talk about Sione, first of all, I have to describe the right Sione. But you know, they know who Sione is. They know who Raph is because they're okay with it. I'm in the dorm and I am the Bible person. Are you scared about that in your life? See, we see here that we always have to put on our armor. We always have to take our stands at our posts. Sometimes people like to blame the storms or the challenges in their lives for the reasons for their weaknesses. That's not what makes you weak. The challenges or the storms may hurt you, but it's not what makes you weak. All storms do is show you where you're vulnerable to attack. That's not what makes you weak. You are weak because there's something missing in your armor. You are weak because there's a crack somewhere in your wall. The storm is just exposing that. And this armor is a one-size-fits-all. Stop making excuses that you're different, or you're weak because of this, or this happened in your life. Put on the armor.
Yeah.
That's what makes us strong. It's not each and every single one of us. We have the armor because we're weak. You know, some people make fun of me because I love gridiron American football, and we have to put on the helmet and the pads and all these things. And people here play rugby, and they're like, "You weak link," and everything. And I'm like, yes, I am weak. I want my knees to work when I'm 35. You know, I don't care about that. Like, I'm going to put on the helmet every day. In the same way, if you're trying to just like, I'm strong in the Lord, just admit we're weak. And that's why we need the armor. And that's okay, but I'm grateful it's a one-size-fits-all. My second encouragement is put on the armor and never take it off. Put on the armor and never take it off. Stop leaving your post unguarded. Now, point number 3, we're going to find out what is this armor. Being strong is suiting up. Point number 3, being strong is suiting up. Here it is. Ephesians 6:14-16. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. So here we go. This is the armor. Each piece as essential as the next. You know, have you ever heard someone telling you something that they believe in and why they believe it, and you're just thinking to yourself, man, this person is tripping. Right? This person don't know what he's talking about, what's going on. Why? It's because they don't have the belt of truth on it. You know, their pants are falling down. They're tripping over themselves. I don't know about you, but I grew up in LA where I used to sag a lot, actually, pretty much all the way until I got baptized. I used to wear shorts under my pants so I can sag so you don't see my underwear or whatever, just so I can do that. And I'm always ready to play basketball. That was pretty much the point. But if I ever try to run sagging, I'm always tripping up on myself. You know, and usually the people who die in the scary movies, who are they? The ones that keep tripping and, right? Don't you get really annoyed at them? And the reason is because even spiritually, is because they don't have the belt of truth. They keep tripping over themselves because they don't have the belt of truth. I don't know if you ever grew up as well with bootleg movies. Do you know what those are? Some of you guys may not know, but bootleg movies is where somebody went into the movie theater, they recorded it, and so you see Bob walking down the aisle, you know, you hear the person snoring on the left, and you know, the baby crying in the background and everything. Or if you guys ever seen like those things where you don't have Adidas, but you have Adibas, you know? You have like the ghetto bootleg version. Why do we buy those? It's because they're cheaper, right? Sometimes people like to do the same thing with the spiritual armor. They don't have the breastplate of righteousness. They have the breastplate of religiousness. And so they're hoping that just going to church or, you know, praying before they eat is going to protect their heart, and it doesn't. Yet you got to go and buy the brand. You got to get the breastplate of righteousness. Yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but it actually works. You know, and then it says here that we have the shield of faith. You know, have you ever seen somebody and just look at them like, man, what happened to you? They look like they went in a car crash. They're bleeding on the side. What's going on? Man, what's going on? Even something emotionally would have happened to somebody. You can just see it on their face, right? What happened to you? No, it's pretty funny. Not much so funny of what happened, but kind of what happened after. I know most of you knew that Chris kind of fell on his bike. But I guess the funny part after is that we were kind of preparing for Mirari. She graciously came and picked us up. But we took apart the bike so we can kind of fit it in the car. But it's kind of funny to the onlookers who were passing us by. All they see is Chris kind of bleeding from his knees, both of the wheels off and the handlebar twisted. And they're just looking like, what happened to this guy? You know, it was a little bit of a twist of the thing, but the wheels didn't fall off, and so they're thinking like, what happened to this guy, right? And sometimes we can see people that way, and man, this person looks like they're going through a difficult time, and we kind of want to go up to them and say, there, what's going on, what happened? But the reason that they're going through difficult times is we got to say, hey, when that happened, did you have your shield up? Did you have your shield of faith up? Yes, we're going to go through difficult times, and yes, we got to be compassionate, but we also got to remind people how to protect themselves. See, faith is not just a thing to keep you positive throughout the day, or that hopefully it's going to get your prayers answered. No, faith protects you. Yeah. When you have faith, you get to protect yourself. And see, that's why faith is so important, because it's part of our armor. Once you start to have faith, it changes how you view everything. All the challenges and things that would have normally got you down, it doesn't get you down as much. I'm very grateful for Naki. She actually got me a Tongan flag. So I've been praying for, here we go, and I'm learning, the Tongan flag, and I've been praying for our mission team to Tonga. Let's see if I can pronounce this right for once in my life. Nuku'alofa. There we go, yes. And, we've had a lot of Tongans over this past Wednesday, right? We had like 10 Tongans come out to church on a Wednesday night. And as you can see, we maybe don't have as many Tongans as this morning. But to be honest, I don't care. Why? Because we're going to Tonga. Come on. I don't care how many Sionis we're going to take or not. We're going there. That all the things that I would get down, they didn't come today. I don't care. We're going to Tonga. Yeah. We're going to Nuku'alofa and all these other places I can't pronounce. And I'm excited about it because I have faith. And it's not, I look at these people and I'm like, okay, is it going to be you? Not I'm hanging my plan on these people. I'm like, are you going to join us to change the world? Yeah. It's going to happen one way or another. Are you just going to be there when we do it? See, that's the type of faith that protects you when challenges come. Come on, Sean. It talks about the helmet of salvation. Have you ever done this where, this is where we know we have the helmet of salvation on. Have you ever not been paying attention to somebody because you had heaven on your mind? We know we do that sometimes where we're not really paying attention to a conversation. A little bit, Tegan noticed that I wasn't paying attention to this morning because I was trying to learn how to pronounce Nuku'alofa. But have you ever done that where a brother or sister's talking to you and you're like, I'm sorry, I was just thinking about how awesome heaven's going to be. Can you say that again? Well, that's a whole nother spirituality right there, right? Like you're not paying attention because you're just waiting to glorify God in heaven. That's what it means to have the helmet of salvation. The sword of the Spirit. This book doesn't change, right? No matter what. No matter who I give it to, this doesn't change. But it's a bit more dangerous depending on whose hands it is in. Right? It's kind of like if we had a gun. A gun in my hands, it's a different type of dangerous. You're kind of worried about, is Sean going to accidentally shoot me? But it's a different type of dangerous when you put it in the hands of a Navy SEAL. And you put it in the hands of a Green Beret. That's a different type of dangerous because this person knows how to handle it. Is that the same thing when God looks at you in the Bible? Not like, this person doesn't know how to handle it, but you know how to handle the Word of God. See, in all this, the next thing that I wanted to bring up, and the part of the armor, is I think a part of the armor that most people forget. It says here, the readiness, or our ready feet to do God's will that comes from the gospel of peace. That us serving the Lord, mostly out and seeking saving the lost, that this is part of our armor. Most of us can think it's part of our servitude or our duty. No. Your ready feet and you doing God's will is part of your armor. See, we don't work to be saved. And I want to even put it on your heart just a little bit that we don't even work because we're saved. We work to stay saved. Not as a earning point of view, but as a part of our armor to keep us safe. See, when you are not moving, you're an easy target. You're an easy target. See, in war, you can have the helmet on, you can have the armor on, but if you just stand there, you're an easy target. You got to get your feet moving. Yeah. Have you ever heard somebody say, hey, I just need to take a break. I just need a moment. Why does that hurt so much to hear? Well, because we know it's like the worst thing that you can do. Yeah. That's like somebody in the middle of warfare, they get shot and say, instead of calling for a medic, they call for a minute. They go away from their post and say, guys, I just need a moment, and just sits in the middle of the battlefield. That's like the worst thing that you can do. See, it's equivalent to saying, I'm just going to put my faith down for a moment. I'm going to take the salvation off for a little bit. I'm going to let go of the truth for a moment. That's what it means to stop our feet. It's just as essential in our armor. Back in LA, I actually had the opportunity to be a roommate of somebody who was part of the Coast Guard in America, back in Los Angeles. And he was part of the Coast Guard specifically when they were going through Hurricane Katrina. Now, for those who don't know about that, years ago there was a hurricane down in like the south part of America, just wiped out many houses and many people died. And he was a Coast Guard there, Coast Guard kind of just being kind of the military in America in one way or another. And so he actually had the job of driving a boat and going to pick up people from their houses to bring them to like a center because it was so flooded, everyone was living on their roofs. And so he was going around, and many times he would come up to a house and saying, guys, hey, we need to evacuate this area. And he would put on their people's hearts that we're not coming back this way for like a month. So you need to jump on the boat now. And he said many times that people would say, no, we just want to wait it out. We want to stay at our house. And he said it really hurt him in his heart because he knew every person that he left waiting on the house, they were certainly going to die. He's like, I know certainly that if I got left them there, we aren't coming back for a month and there's no one else coming, they were going to die. And he said most times than not that those people actually died. And see, if there's one thing that any of the movies, military, zombie movies have taught us is that, you got to keep moving. Yeah. You have to keep moving. This is not essential just to do the work of God. It's part of your armor. See, when you're not focused on seeking and saving the lost, when you're not out there focused on more things than just yourself, you're actually hurting yourself. You think that you're taking a moment to get your things sorted. You're hurting yourself. Yeah. You don't get it that you stop your feet and now you're just a sitting duck for God, for Satan to go after. Us moving is part of our armor. Your ready feet comes from the gospel. The understanding that Jesus went on the cross not just for you. Yes, he did it for you personally, but for every single person. For the person sitting to your left and to your right. For the person that walks by you on the side of the street. Christ died for them as well. That's where you have that peace, is I'm going out this, not just doing my own will and fighting my own battle, but I'm doing this with God on the side. And see, once we have that on our hearts, then life becomes easy. Those who have all these problems, but if they're focused on seeking and saving the lost, those problems mean nothing. You know, I really think that there is a reason that Jordan is such a go-lucky guy. I do believe it, because this guy is focused on seeking and saving the lost. Yeah, I just heard about a week ago that he was just talking about, so usually in the church we have times like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday night, where we have organized times where we go out and share our faith with people out in the streets. But he put on us, and I never knew this about him, to be honest, he says every time before I arrive there, I at least want to share with one person or two people before I meet in the group. He's like, why? Because this is just what I'm focused on. And so though his flights may be canceled and this may be going on, and amen, we're kind of praying, yes, but why? Because he's focused on seeking and saving the lost. See, once you start focusing on what God's focus, all your problems mean nothing. Because you realize the person that's to your right and to your left, that you're just trying to help them get saved. Your little issue at work that, Billy isn't noticing you or this or that, it's like, it doesn't matter as much because you're focused on God. My next challenge is put on the full armor of God. Not just the parts that you like. See, it's not like a sport where, for me, I'm really good in basketball at passing. Why? Because I suck at shooting. So I got good at something else. But it doesn't really work that way with the full armor of God. You got to put all of it on. What armor are you leaving off? Point number 4, we'll come to a close right here. Being strong is prayer. Ephesians 6:18. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions, with all kind of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert, and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. After all this, guys, we then need prayer. Because I don't care what you're wearing, I'm never going to feel comfortable, even if I have a full plate of armor, I'm never going to feel comfortable with someone swinging a sword at my face. Right? If I have a shield, if I have a sword, it doesn't matter. That's never going to feel good. Even if you have a bulletproof vest and someone shoots you, yeah, you may not die, but you can get a broken rib from that. See, the vest was intended to protect you. It doesn't mean you're not going to get hurt. In the same way with the full armor of God, you may put all of it on and say, what's wrong? I'm still getting hurt. Well, it's there to save your life. Doesn't mean you're never going to get hurt. And that's where we need prayer, for that extra little protection. You need prayer for yourself and for those around you. And this encouragement, guys, is just the last challenge here, is get in the habit, it says here, of praying all day. Not just to have a prayer in the morning as a checklist. Sometimes we can go through a difficult time in the day and be like, man, I know I need to pray about this. I can't wait until tomorrow morning so I can pray about this. No, just pray during lunchtime, guys. It's okay. You can pray during that time as well. But in conclusion, he ends off through, the last couple of scriptures, just kind of finalizing with a greeting and instructions of a friend to come in to him. But all this was to end it off in this book is just to encourage us that this is what it means to be strong and a strong believer. Just because you come to church or do those things, that doesn't make you a strong believer. You're strong when you're putting on the full armor of God. You're strong when you are manning your post. You are strong when you're out there proclaiming the truth. I want to encourage you, if that doesn't sound like your life today, I want to encourage you to get with somebody and talk to them. Man, this is where my armor is missing. I need your help to put on the full armor. If you're visiting with us this morning and haven't been putting on that full armor, we're not doing a little altar call right now. That's not what's going to change your life. What's going to change your life is you putting on the armor. You getting in your life and making a change. So I want to encourage you to get with the person and study the Bible and how can you do this? And to God be all the glory. Thank you very much.
All right, church, so for our final song, we're going to stand and sing.
You gotta preach, preach, preach the word. You gotta preach, preach, preach the word. You gotta preach, preach, preach the word out. You gotta preach, preach, preach the word. You gotta preach, preach, preach the word. see, I was lost before I was found, and my pride had me so.